प्यारे माजी अजीत कौर जी, His Excellency General V. Namgyal, Ambassador of Bhutan in India, other honorable guests of honor, galaxy of poets, writers, and thinkers from all 8 countries of SAARC. Very good morning to everybody. This paper, which presents a synopsis of perspectives of literary culture in Bhutan, is a joint effort of 3 of us. My friends who are sitting down there, Dr. Ms. and Mr. Namgyal Tsering, helped me bring up this paper which I am going to present today. To begin with, a bird's-eye view of Bhutanese literature. The education system of Bhutan began as early as the advent of Buddhism in 747 AD with the arrival of the Indian saint popularly known as Padmasambhava or Guru Rinpoche. Guru Rinpoche is associated with the foundation of community of lamas, who are Buddhist teachers, who further propagated Buddhism through a traditional monastic teaching akin to the present-day schooling system. The Bhutanese traditional literature that grew out of monastic system of learning was classified into 10 broad classifications, while in the modern context, the categories are varied and specific to institutions. These literatures of traditional and monastic nature were not readily accessible to common people, except to recruits in the monasteries. The common people, therefore, did not gain interest in these forms of literature as part of their daily lives. The scriptures, however, were taught through a discourse by accomplished monks, who were also called as lamas, as I referred to earlier, to the common people as part of religious initiations. So then when did the modern Bhutanese English literature emerge? There is no conclusive research to validate the emergence of Bhutanese traditional literature. The English literature began discreetly alongside growth and development of modern education system in the country. In the mid-1960s, about 59 schools were established in different places across the country. The royal government of Bhutan invited expatriate teachers from India to overlook the early phase of education in the Bhutanese schools. This led to the adoption of curriculum and instructional materials based on the Indian syllabuses, except the national language texts, which were taught in our national language, Songha. Until recently, almost all the books that Bhutanese people read were imported from India and other foreign countries. The earliest Bhutanese mass publications in English were largely the school textbooks, grammar, history, and other stories used as supplementary books based on the school curriculum. The records with the National Library and the Center for Bhutan Studies shows that the variety of publications has changed over the years. From the era of printing Buddhist scriptures on wooden blocks to recounting our history, a new era is taking concrete shape in the field of writing with parallel improvements to international standards. Now to give a glance at other genres of Bhutanese literature. Talking about iconoclasts in the field of literature in English, I'm sure many of our friends here have met her. Kunzang Chuden ushered in the change in the voice of literature in our country. Her first book, Folktales of Bhutan, was published in 1994. This was one of the first books on Bhutanese oral stories to be published in English. Today, if you visit any bookstores in Bhutan, you will find that many folktales that have been penned down by many other writers in Bhutan between 2000 to 2015. Then in 2002, The Talisman of Good Fortune and Other Stories from Rural Bhutan, written by our friend Dr. Rinzin, came into the hands of the readers. The readers unabashedly classified it as another compiled book of folktales, although the book was a collection of 9 creative stories. Creative story writing thus began to pick into existence with this book. We cannot be wrong in our assumption that the genre of longer prose in the form of novel gained momentum with Kunzang Chuden's book Circle of Karma, which has been translated into 13 different languages and still is widely read and loved by readers around the world. In the same year, Kamladevi's The Restless Relic 2 hit the book market. These books set the trend of fiction writing in Bhutan. Since the early 90s, slowly but steadily, Bhutanese writers have followed the zest for literature in the footsteps of the like of Ms.Chador. While we are on a listing spree, we must not forget that we have had the book titled Homecoming, written by a 12-year-old girl, Pema Yudin. But 2016 saw 2 more young writers join the bandwagon of writers bagging the title of youngest writer in Bhutan. Yishiteang Zam, an 11-year-old girl, came into limelight with her illustrated book for children, which was titled Kake. And a month later, a 10-year-old girl called Tserin Damchen Jamyang Hamo became the youngest writer with her book My Life, which is an illustrated journal of a 10 years old. Isn't that amazing? Gopilal Acharya, who is sitting here with us, his book, Bhutanese Folk Tales from East and South and Dancing to Death, which was an anthology of poems, is a huge inspiration to many aspiring Bhutanese writers. His debut novel, Stone in My Heart, was long-listed for the 2009 Man Asian Literary Prize, and that was a proud moment for all of us here. Thank you so much. Adding to the list, some of the popular books published in the recent years are Dorji Dado's Escapists. Kamladevi, who is an ex-cop, has authored 4 books up until now, and the crime fiction he has produced is unduplicated genre in our country till date. Ugen Gelson's Dear City, which flooded the book market in 2012, swept the masses with the first of its kind love story. Chador Wangmo, who is standing in front of you here, her maiden novel, La Ama, which was published in 2015, was a very bold book, as it was termed by the readers. It voices out the issues of domestic violence and gender inequalities. In August 2016, I hear a meek clap down there. Thank you so much for that one. In August 2016, her second novel, Kitty, hit the market along with Dr. Rinzan Rinzan's book, Depa Pon Depa, and Major Lingi Jamso's Gelo. Realistic fiction gained popularity in 2015. Kadinchi Beyond Words by Kile Wangchu and Monotamang's Chronicles of Love Foretold and The Morning Sun became a sensation in the book world in Bhutan. After Dr. Rinzan's collection of short stories, writers like Ngao Finso and Lingi Jamso have tried to spread the love for contemporary short stories, which is a genre different from the list mentioned earlier. Poetry and poets bring out the sublime beauty of life. Celebrating the splendor of genre of literature, Ryong Books brought together a group of Bhutanese poets in the book Folded into a Paper Boat. In the past few years, many Bhutanese poets have participated in various literary festivals across India. Mr. Namgyal Sering, who published his maiden collection of poems, Dragon Delights, a rosary of poems in 2017, was recognized for his poetic talents at the Fantasy Bee World Poetry Festival held at Hyderabad. Dr. Rinzan and Dr. Chador Wangmo were nominated for the prestigious Premchand Fellowship in 2015 and 2016 respectively, and in 2017 at Siddharth Nagar in UP, India, they were both awarded Vidya Vachaspati as well as Tathagat Srijan Saman. Some of those poems have been published abroad as well. Back at home, Mr. Jumi Choing published his collection of poetry, Ballad of a Minor Man, in a major code, which struck the right chord of poetry in the hearts of the poetry lovers in Bhutan. In August 2018, Dr. Rinzan published his first poetry anthology, Dewdrops in the Sun, a treasury of poem, taking Bhutanese poetry to newer heights. The love of poetry is on the rise as we see many Bhutanese taking to Instagram and Facebook to post their poems online. Children's books, I'm talking about a different genre now, are also beginning to get better attention with Bhutan Children's Book Initiative project, which is a joint venture between Save the Children Office and the Ministry of Education. This genre too began its journey with the illustrated folk tales, Kunzang Chudin's Auntie Mouse, Room in Your Heart, and Tego, The Garment of Life, added to the collection of Lamche series written and published by Pema Gyaltsen. I have also added 10 books till date to this genre, bringing in the variety of creative writing in this genre with my books like Monster in My Room, Weaving a Rainbow, and Tikpa, The Drop of Water, to name a few. Dr. Chador Wangmo also ventured into another genre as well by publishing the first ever superhero chapter books for children with her book Dema, The Mystery of the Missing Egg in 2016. And the sequel of this book was launched recently, and the title is Dema in the Kingdom of Evil. In a decade since the influx of mass media, Bhutan has seen rapid increase in the number of enthusiasts pursuing writing as a passion. Going by the listings, we are positive that English literature in Bhutan did start late, but it is definitely on the rise and in a positive way. While the world is grappling with the anxiety of techno-gadgets superseding the presence of books, Bhutan's growing number of aspiring writers, confirmed by the increasing number of books churned out every year, is unquestionably a new quest and undertaking. There are stories everywhere, I would like to believe so. There are stories everywhere and in every heart, and many Bhutanese are feeling this much. And we are certainly seeing this upheaval in the literary culture. Today, with many of us bestowed with the privilege of bringing ourselves out to attend forums like this, the SARC Literary Festival initiated by Foswal, and Mountain Echoes, which our ambassador mentioned earlier, which is the biggest literary festival that happens in Bhutan. We Bhutanese are definitely making headway in the writing journey. Our mountains have begun to rumble for quite a long time, and today it is beginning to make louder calls to the world of literature hidden deep in the valleys of our hearts. Thank you so much.